Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Energy Works. I'm here with Lauren today. This is Blaine, and we're going to talk today about a subject, a symptom, a situation that I personally have struggled with a lot in my life. And it's the should, the SHOULD. I should be doing this. I should be doing that. And Lauren and I joke, I'm sure listeners, many of you have heard this, like stop shoulding on yourself, or don't should on yourself, or don't should all over yourself, don't should on others. So, I think it's generally accepted that this word should is often not the most helpful word in our vocabulary. But I can say for myself, I'm in this, we'll call it a self-help world. I am a yoga student, yoga student first. I am also a yoga teacher, and I've studied a lot with a lot of teachers. I get exposed to a lot of tools and techniques and ideas and methodologies of what we can do to be our best self, our brightest self, our highest self, our most achieving self, our most grounded self, all of that. And there can be a lot that you should be doing. And it's easy when you're in that comparison mindset, especially surrounded by, yoga teachers and spiritual teachers who many of them have very advanced practices that they've been doing for decades. And they will share with you what they do and, maybe not use the word should, but suggest that it is something that you could do too. But, can you, will you, do you want to? And this gets into habits, right? How to create a habit, how to make a habit stick. There's a lot that is wrapped up in this, but I personally have been the victim of making myself, sick is a strong word, but definitely out of balance, like pulling myself to an out of balance state, thinking, I should be doing this. I should be doing that. I should be doing this kind of exercise. I should be taking this supplement. I should be on this kind of diet. I should be doing this certain style of meditation. I should be practicing this much yoga 7 days a week. I should be lifting weights at the gym. I should be getting barefoot on the green grass and grounding every day, right? I should. I can really focus on what I'm not doing and not what I am doing, and get myself, kind of wrapped up in this negative spiral that I would be better, brighter, smarter, more productive if I was doing these things that I should be doing that I'm not. So I'll share a little bit of my journey with that, but I also want to, let my co-host Lauren talk. Hi, Lauren.
Hi, Blaine. I love all that. I agree with all that. I think we did do a newsletter not that long ago about all the things that you should do. And we did a little tongue in cheek, in the morning, get up and meditate, pranayama, meditation, tongue scraping, getting out and watching the first sun of the day, body brush, abhyanga, your morning pages. I think yoga after the pranayama meditation. There was like 10 things that were like, do the green drink or the green juice, the hot water with lemon. Before that, there was like all these things that you quote should be doing, first thing, not just should be doing, but those are like the should be doing, your first thing. When I fall into that should realm myself, what happens to me is I feel like I'm exposing an internal lie. And that weighs really heavy on me, because if I should do something and I'm not doing it, there's an internal discord there. There's a frisson. Like, why aren't I doing it? Part of me says I should, but another part is not. So there's a schism. And if there's a schism, we know energetically, like a schism is the start of disease patterns. Now, whether that disease pattern is just feeling out of sorts, like you said, or feeling kind of not as bright, or, it can go all the way up to something, not so good as just feeling a little unbright, right? So we don't want to have any schisms. And when I start to should on myself, I start to expose these little lies, these little schisms internally of that I'm not doing what I think I'm meant to do, and why, what's going on. So Blaine, take us through what's going on.
Yeah, that's part of Ayurveda, right? This kind of like these lies you tell to yourself, like really more when you make a commitment, like, when you say, I commit, I will do this, or I will not do that, and then you don't do it. And you've, kind of done these little lies with yourself, and then you don't trust yourself, and then you get sick. I mean, there's definitely an energetic misalignment that happens from there. But yeah, I forgot when we did that, Lauren and I, it was very jokey. It was like, you should like do this and do this and do this and do this and do this. But are you happy? Like in the end, if you did all those things, are you happy? Like what even really matters? Or like you say, Lauren, no one wins, right? Like, do you win? Are you happy? If you do all those things, I wasn't as aware of the effect that the shooting was having on me. This was back during the pandemic, and I have an energy medicine teacher. She's actually been a teacher for both Lauren and I. Her name is Susan Stone, and she is in Lolo, Montana, and she's an incredible healer and teacher. And I was up in Lolo. She has a healing center there, and I was there, and I was getting a session, and it was during the pandemic. And so, I was out of sorts for sure. I owned a yoga studio at the time. The government had closed my yoga studio. I still had rent to pay. I didn't know what was going to happen. And, the world wasn't the place the world was in. And so there was definitely, everybody, I was out of sorts. So I went to her for a session, and she did a session with me. And she said to me, Blaine, there's a lot of things that you are beating yourself up on that you think you should be doing. And somehow she got that in my field from working with my energetic system. And we're not going to get into the 5 elements and all of that right now. But the way she just said that in plain English, it really resonated with me because that was the exact energy I was in, especially because I had a closed yoga studio, right? I didn't have all these yoga teachers I was managing. I didn't have all my yoga studio. I mean, everything was canceled. I had all this, quote unquote, free time. And I was under a lot of stress, but she was 100% right. With this free time, you saw everybody else making the sourdough and, taking on this project, and I was like, I'm not max, part of me knew I'm going to look back at this quiet time in history and wish that I had achieved something. And now I can look back and say that I did achieve a lot of things, but I was very much in this energy right then. And she just nailed it. And I started crying, and I was like, yes, I'm really hard on myself right now. And I'm not giving myself any credit for the things that I do and the practices that I do already, that I've been doing them for a long time and I'm still doing. I'm not giving myself any credit for any of that. I'm just beating myself up for all these other tools and techniques that I should be doing that I'm not getting to. So that was a little light bulb moment for me in my past. And, these things loop around. They don't just automatically get balanced and healed, which is why I think this came up again somehow when Lauren and I, it was from the play, from the Eileen McHewson Cool People, Big Ideas podcast that Lauren did, which is going to release, I think next week, from when this is released, really soon. And it is about play. And I was like, I should play. Why don't I play? I've never been good at play. And there's that is a theme in the podcast is you'll hear it in the podcast between Lauren Walker and Eileen McCusick. And I kind of started going down that spiral again. Like there's another thing I should do that I'm not good at. And so Lauren and I talked about it, and here we are doing a podcast about should. And this is where the field comes in, because the day after Lauren and I had the conversation about shoulds and how we should do a podcast on should, I read a Substack newsletter from Holly Whitaker, and she often in her newsletters will link to other things that she has been reading. And so Holly linked to an article on Medium about should. And I mean, it was literally like the next day. It's like, bang, just right in front of my face. We should do a podcast on should. Here, so, Holly's like, here, read this article on should in Medium. And I thought it was really good. And so I'm going to talk about it here, and I'll link to it in the show notes. But this article had a 3-step system, a 3-step method on how to get out of this should mentality. So I'll go ahead and dive into it, because it has actually transformed something that I've said I should be doing for quite a while. And now I'm already doing it consistently since I put myself through this process. And so in this 3-step methodology, the author suggested switch the word should for want to. So if you're someone who says to yourself, I should meditate, switch it to I want to meditate. Or if you're someone who says, I should go to the gym, right? I want to go to the gym. And I actually think want to is a little different than get, because I've heard before, like I get to go to the gym, I get to meditate. I actually think want to has a different energy than get to. I think get to is a little forced. Like, yeah, I get to take out the trash, it's just like a little bit more of kind of this like, find gratitude for everything kind of energy, where I think want to has a little bit more of this like heart-centered kind of like want to. So try it, with the want to, and can you feel it in this like a hard place? Like if you can say, I want to do this thing, what is the vibration of that? And so this author, when she was talking about it, she should go to bed earlier at night. That was her should. I should go to bed earlier at night. So she transformed her language to want to. I want to go to bed earlier at night. So that's step 1. Can you change it to want to, and does it feel genuine? Because if it doesn't feel genuine, like game over. It's not something you should do. Like you only should do it if you want to do it. And so can you say, I want to? And that vibrates true and whole. Okay, so she said, I want to go to bed earlier at night. Yes, she knew. Yes, she does want to go to bed earlier at night. So step 2 was, what is the resistance? She's like, why am I not going to bed? Like, what am I getting from not going to bed earlier at night? And her answer was, when she peeled back the onion on her resistance, was I work from home, and then I stop working from home, and then, I just stop work. I'm still at home. I've stopped work for the day. And then I go off the clock and I do what I want to do. I might watch Netflix. I might scroll on my phone or whatever. It's my off the clock time. And so if I go to bed earlier at night, then I'm just going to get up earlier in the morning and go on the clock again. And so that's the resistance for her. I don't want to lose this off the clock time, because that's a time that I really enjoy. So that was step 2, identify the resistance. Why haven't you started doing the thing that you should do? And then step 3, can you, now that you know what the resistance is, can you work with that and find a way to still get it done, but also doesn't, mitigates whatever your resistance was? So for her, she decided that if she went to bed early at night, she could get up earlier in the morning, start her work day earlier in the morning, and finish work at 3 or 4 in the afternoon. And then she would just be off the clock earlier. She could go to a movie. She could go out for coffee with a friend. She could whatever. And so that was the way she worked around it. And so that was her thing. She wants to go to bed early. Now she's going to bed early, she's getting up early, she's going off the clock early, and she has way more hours in her day. I'll pause there, Lauren, and then I'll talk to you about you, the listeners. I've told Lauren this already about how I've done this for something for me, but what are your thoughts or reactions?
I love all of that. I love all of it. And I'm really glad that you said if you get to the, okay, so I should meditate, I want to meditate. And then if you don't want to, then you're not going to, right? Like, I mean, it goes back to that newsletter. We had all those things. And, the truth is, I mean, we could have so many shoulds. I should eat more vegetables. I should eat less sugar. I should stop drinking caffeine altogether. I should drink way less alcohol or none at all. I should see my friends more. I should call my mom more. Like it can go on and on. I should work more. I should make more money doing the work that I do. I should switch jobs because I'm not making money. Like on and on and on. But really, at the end of the day, / at the end of your life, right, you're not going to come up with some list and be like, here, God, or here, angels, or here, whatever you think is going to happen when you die. Like, this is all the stuff I did. What do I get? Do I get a gold star? Do I get my wings? Like, that's not going to happen. And so it's like, there is no end game. Be here now. This is what it is. So if you want to go to bed early and you want to meditate and you're gaining something of that in the moment and it's unfurling, like we know, like we practice so that in the moment we are loving the practice and we see day by day the paybacks from the practice. So it's both and. It's a both benefit in the moment and it is an accruing benefit of the day to day. But if you don't have that, like, don't do it. And you're not going to do it either. Like, that's the thing. You're not going to do it. Like, if you quit drinking caffeine, you're going to feel crappy for a couple days, maybe more, maybe a week. If you really drink a lot of caffeine, you're going to have a headache and it's going to be horrible. And then you're going to get over it and you're going to have way more energy. You're going to be way less jittery. Like, you're going to see the benefits of that pretty quickly. And that is going to then give you the feedback loop of, okay, that's a good reason why I should want to quit caffeine, and there's a benefit from that. But if you're not seeing a benefit, either in the moment or an accrual, then I'm going to say you shouldn't do it, right? Like, because it's your life. No one's keeping track. No one's keeping tabs. So it's got to be of benefit to you, some part of you, body, mind, or spirit, or all together. And so I'm really glad that you said that, like if you're not going to do that. And then the one other thing I want to say, because I'm really excited for you to share the technique, but I do use the I get to, because I did have a struggle a few years ago with the should as well. I was shoulding all over myself. And I was with my friend Stephanie walking in the woods, and she said, and she never says you should do this. So she said, what I do is I get to. And that was a really aha moment for me. And I like that you distinguish the two, the difference for the energy of the feeling of want and the feeling of get to. But for me, that get to, even if it's like, I get to take out the trash, there's a place where I can bring it. There's a place that it allows my house to stay cleaner, or I get to do the dishes. I have hot water coming out of my faucet just with a flick of my finger. Like, that's amazing. I get to do dishes in hot water. Like, I have an aging dog right now, and I have to take him out in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom like 2, sometimes 3 times. So I'm not sleeping through the night anymore. And that is huge. Like, I don't know if we've done a podcast on sleep yet, but we did. Oh, that's right. We totally did, right? Because you're the sleep queen. So we know how important that is. It's so important. I'm not getting sleep. And it's like, I'm so exhausted. I get to care for this creature. It's not that I should because he's my creature, but I get to. It is a blessing. And so I really do use that get to for all of the things that I used to should on myself for, is I get to do that. And if it's something that I truly don't should get or want to do, then I'm just not going to do it. So I like that you gave us that option to, like, don't do it then. Because, we're not here to get a grade. You're not going to get a grade, an A, if you meditate, pranayama, blah, 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 blah. you're not getting an A or an F or a B or nothing. You get nothing except what you get from it. So thank you for that permission. And I'll pass it back to you so we can hear this fun piece of the story.
Yeah, I can get how the energy of gut, I can get how the energy of gut and the energy of want would feel different for different people based on who you are. There was this movie, I cannot remember what it's called. It's quite old. It has Jennifer Aniston and Vince Vaughn, and I think it's called The Breakup. It might be called The Breakup. You know what I'm talking about? And it's at the very, very beginning, and they have this big dinner party at their house, and then the guests all leave, and the kitchen is just trashed, and there's bazillions of dirty dishes everywhere. And he goes and sits down on the couch and starts playing video games. And she's in the kitchen by herself with these piles and piles of dishes and and he's playing video games and she's in there cleaning up after this party all by herself. So of course there's this big fight. and so, he's like, we can do the dishes in the morning, and she's like, no. And I just remember this part was so funny because he's like, what do you want from me? And she's like, I want you to want to do the dishes. And he's like, you want me to want to do the dishes? Who wants to do the dishes? Do you get to do the dishes?
That's awesome. I love that.
I want you to want.
I have to share this because that wanting something from wanting. I had a similar thing with my mom when I would be little, and I would can I go sleep over Sandra's house? No, you can't. No, it's a school night. Whatever. And I would beg and I would plead, and I would, and then she would begrudgingly, because I'm a wood element, she would begrudgingly allow me to do whatever it was that I wanted to do. But it was begrudging, and I'm very sensitive. So I could tell that she was not happy with it. And it wasn't enough that I was allowed to do the thing that I wanted to do. I wanted her to want to let me do it, right? Right? Not just let me do it, but want to let me do it so that I wasn't coming up against any friction, right? And so there is, again, should she have, right? So it kind of circles back. Wanting somebody to want to do something, even if it's yourself. Like you either want to do something or you don't, but here's a little
I want to meditate.
I do. You know what? I want to cold plunge. I want to cold plunge. I don't like cold water. I want my healing to be nurturing and gentle and sweet. I don't want it to be shocking, but I know that there's a lot of benefits. I don't want to do it, but I want to do it. So I don't know if we can address that. Does that come up in this podcast too?
That's so funny. I don't know. Well, I guess people could try the technique, the very simple technique that we're going to share that's part of this 3-piece methodology that I talked about before. So I used to be great about journaling in the morning. There's morning pages. I did morning pages. There's a book by Julia Cameron. There's actually a podcast where Lauren and I each talked about our 3 favorite books. And I talked about this Julia Cameron book. And I was really good about morning pages for a long time, which is basically just journaling. You don't have to really worry about what morning pages means, but it is journaling in the morning. We can say it like that. And I've gotten away from journaling in the morning, and I would say journaling at all. I'm taking a course right now, and I do some journaling around the course, so I am doing that, like some things that I want to remember or some thoughts or whatever. Like I'm doing some, more writing than the course demands, just so I can kind of get some thoughts about when I'm learning at. But, I'm not doing this more just freehand, empty, just let, brain to hand to pen, just pour out on paper, whatever it is. And so I've been shitting on myself about journaling for a while and not getting anywhere and not doing it. And then I read this Medium article. And so I decided to apply this to myself. And so I want to journal. I can 100% feel the heart vibration of yes, I want to journal. I have received a lot of positive things from journaling in the past. I want to journal. So check, did that one. What's the resistance? And I had to think about this one a little more. And it's really, I discovered it's around mornings. I am I am the Energizer Bunny. I get up early in the morning and I'm like ding ding ding, banging my thing. I have so much energy. And then I am just a straight diagonal line, like downhill in my energy. And so my morning time is it's my most creative time. It's my most productive time. And as the day goes on, it just steadily wanes until, dinner time and I go to bed early. And so my morning time, I'm already getting a lot done. And I honestly do a lot of work in the morning. Lauren knows this. She's the recipient of especially now that I'm in the Eastern time zone, very early in the morning emails. Because I get up and I do my meditation practice and pranayama, and that's stuff I've done for years. And then I've been kind of just skipping journaling and diving into work. And I feel good about how much work I get done in the morning. So that's my resistance. If I take an extra 20, 30 minutes, whatever it is, 10 minutes, and I start journaling, then I'm just not going to get as much of this great work done that I feel really good about doing. So that's why I'm not journaling, is because I just don't like the interruption in the current flow of my morning where I'm really productive with work in the morning. And then I know, you can laugh at me, but it occurred that I can journal at night. And people are like, duh, but that is just, I have morning pages. That is how I'm trained. It's called morning pages. You do it in the morning. I've been very indoctrinated that that's your best flow time to write is in the morning. And then I'm a morning person anyway. So I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I can journal at night, which I've started doing. And I actually love it. I bring my journal to bed with me and I sit there with a thing that I write on. And it's this nice way. I mean, I guess it's like what you do in the morning, but it's at the end of my day. And I just kind of dump thoughts out and I write and write and write. And then I flick my little light off and close the thing and put it on my nightstand and I go to bed. And so, going through this process, and so that is, I kind of glazed over it. Step 3 of the 3-part process is once you identify the resistance, then what can you do about it? That's step 3. So what I could do about it, once I identified the resistance, what I could do about it is journal at night. Step 3. And so that has been working for me, but I have to say, I have been shitting on myself about journaling, I don't know, for at least a year. But when I put myself through this 3-step process, I journaled that night. And I have been for, a week or 10 days. I mean, I don't know, hasn't been that long. But I want to share a technique because Lauren.
Oh, wait, before you share the technique, I just want to comment on that because it's so powerful and you sort of just glazed over. You made a little joke about it. It's called morning pages. But, what we're taught, told, trained, asked to do, demanded to do, that becomes really what we think is the way to do it. And so literally, in that book, it's been so long since I've read it, but I feel like certainly with the morning pages, there's, philosophy about why in the morning, and there's research about what's the brain thing going on in the morning. It's the same thing with meditation. Every meditation teacher says, morning, wake up and meditate, and pranayama, not as much pranayama in the morning, but kind of like pranayama and then meditate, right? So you're preparing yourself for meditation. So there's so many you should, to keep our theme, do these things at a certain time in a prescribed way. You should meditate sitting on a zafu with your legs crossed this way and your spine this way, and all of these shoulds. And that if you can't do those, we often just throw the baby out with the bathwater. So I am not a morning person. haven't been for a long time, but things have changed recently, but that's a different story. That's a different podcast. But I have not been a morning person for all of my life. And so I'm like, oh, well, then I'm not meditating at all then. Because if I'm supposed to do this first thing in the morning and I can't or won't for whatever reason, I guess then I just won't do it at all. And that is sort of what you came with the morning pages. And so I think it's really important for us to really take a critical eye to those things that we accept, that it's sort of the dogma. Because what you found is, wow, it's a totally different experience and so valuable and valid in its own way. Like almost now you could create an evening pages, a whole book around evening pages, right? Like what do you gain from that? And so I'm so glad that you did that. And I did a similar thing with myself, years ago with meditation. I was like, wait, I can meditate anytime. And I don't have to do it seated in this one particular way. I can do it anywhere. And when to give yourself the freedom of following your path to whatever it is you're trying to achieve, then you really can, you want to, and you get to, because then it's yours. It's not Julie Cameron's anymore, morning pages, that's hers. Now yours is evening pages. It's Blaine's, and it's something yours and that you love to do. You want to do it, and you get to do it. So I love that you did that.
Yeah, I know. It's like the jokey thing, like earth shattering. You can journal at night.
I know, but it's not a joke because we really do. We take these dictates as this is truth from above. Pages will be journaled in the morning, and then that's it. And so you're like, wait a minute, what about So it's funny, but it's not funny because we take that on. So I'm glad that you're light with it, but it's pretty profound to shatter those, those dogmas that we have around so many things.
Yeah, thank you. It is. I know I'm kind of making light of it, but it's been, just the whole journey of thinking through it in this way has been good, and it's gotten me unstuck. So the technique, it's super simple. I feel like of the 3-step process, figuring out the resistance is maybe the one that takes a little more self-reflection, right? Because if you've been saying for a long time, I should do it. Well, there's some reason why you're not, right? There is some resistance there, or else you would be doing it. But finding exactly what the resistance is, or what you think the resistance is a little bit more, maybe a little more digging that needs to be done. And so we have a technique, Lauren and I, we like to put our hands on points under our eyes and on our forehead and on our head and all of that all the time. And there are reasons for that. And this particular technique with the heels of the hand below the eyes, that's a point for grounding, and the fingertips of the hand up over your eyes and your forehead, kind of with your fingers in your hairline, is to get you into a place where you can think, where you're really using your prefrontal cortex and the thinking capabilities and the rational capabilities that you have to kind of get you out of whatever kind of habit loop you might be stuck in, or a thought loop you might be stuck in, or some kind of stuck place, to get literally, it's called a neurovascular point, these up in your head, because you are vascularizing, you are bringing blood up to your head so that you can critically think. And so it's a place where you're using your cognitive skills to problem solve. And so the way we do it, I'll take off my glasses. And if you are listening and not watching us on YouTube, this is pretty straightforward. It's called cupping your eyes, is another thing that we say. And so you can put your elbows on your desk or something in front of you if you want. You can also lie on your back on the floor and cup your eyes. But your hands, the heels of your hands go below your eyes. Just kind of, you have that orbital bone, high cheekbone there. Just lay the heels of the hands there. And then your fingers just rest up on the forehead right above. Your fingertips curve into the hairline. And I really like to put my thumbs on my temples. So that is where I place my thumbs. There's It's an energetically powerful place right there, right on your forehead. And then you're just resting and you're in dark because your eyes are covered with your hands, even if it's light out. And breathe. I tune into my breath first and just get really kind of centered and breathing. And I guess kind of like an empty vessel, and then start thinking, what is my resistance? What is my resistance? What is my resistance? And feeling into it. And when I ask myself, why haven't I been journaling in the morning? It just came to me. I'm doing these other things in the morning that are priorities to me. And this doesn't feel as high a priority on those things, but the journaling is a priority enough that I want to do it. And so if I can't wedge it into the morning, or I'm resistant to wedging it into the morning, what is another way that I can still get it done? And so that's a way to kind of balance your energy, get you out of your habit loops, and maybe some open minds, free association thinking with the palming of the eyes.
That's such a yummy technique too. And we do, like as Blaine said, we share a lot of things, head holds and different reasons of why we're holding different points on the head. And these points that your fingertips are resting on in the prefrontal cortex there, that allows you to keep the blood in the front of the brain for that kind of critical thinking. But the other piece of having the palm of your hand is cupped over the eye sockets. It's like it's withdrawing your attention from the external world. And so, if you're, it's funny, I'm going to use the idea of journaling because you're trying to like figure out what's going on. And a lot of times we'll do that. We'll, ask yourself a question and you free write, so why am I so resistant to journaling? And then you're free writing. But even with that, or even if you're just sort of sitting there and you're thinking, even if the eyes are closed, we still have this interface with the world. And certainly if the eyes are open, we're getting so much information from the eyes that we can get into more of the kind of busy mind instead of that really focused. And so by cupping the hands over the eyes as well, we're withdrawing our external attention. So we ask the question, and the attention is inward. The blood is in the forebrain, and we can be really focused and really specific, and also a little bit lighter with it. Like you can kind of allow the intuition to have that interplay as well. You're covering the third eye, and as Blaine said, the thumbs are over the temples, which is this energy system that is really kind of like the governor of all the energy systems. And so when that is also in this closed loop, you're kind of closing off, it calms down that like, that nervous, oh my God, we don't know what to do. There's so many things to do. Why aren't we journaling? Well, because of this. It calms that whole system down and just brings everything inside so you can really just like drop your question into the well and get the echo comes back up of what to do. And it kind of happened for you really quickly, right, Blaine?
Mm-hmm. It did. I mean, like 5 minutes.
Nice. After a year of struggling.
Yes.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
It's good to laugh at yourself.
Yeah, it is. It is. But, through that process, not only are you doing what you want to be doing, but you also just gave yourself and all of us this huge gift of being able to kind of take stock of the things in our lives that we're doing and giving us sort of an ability to look at them and say, we're going to continue doing this. It's a little bit back to the New Year's podcast that we did about like reflecting on the year, but you can also sort of do that to reflect on anything that's going on in your life. If you've got that should want to get to kind of trinity with it of really reflecting and refining, because we only are here for a limited amount of time. And I know for myself, I I don't want to waste time. And at the same time, I want to be free and expansive in my time. I don't want to be just like every second is scheduled and accounted for. I want to have some expansiveness and some openness within that. And that requires being really clear with how you're using your time. And so I think that's a real gift that you gave us. So thank you for that, Blaine.
Thanks, Lauren. Any listener, if you would please hop on your podcast or on YouTube and give us a rating and give us a review. That helps the algorithms put a podcast in front of more people and helps us grow. So we would really appreciate that. And I think that is a wrap for today. We will either see you in the YouTube or you'll get to hear us in the podcast airwaves. And I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Bye.